Hello and welcome to Kody and Korbin Have a Podcast, the show where two former
And they
roommates
were
talk about a new
roommates.
movie every week. This week on the show, we're talking about The Martian.
I guarantee you that at some point, everything's gonna go south on you.
Ready?
And you're gonna say, this is it. This is how I end.
Commander, Mark is dead. We have to go now.
Now you can either accept that, or you can get to work. This will come as quite a shock to my crewmates, and to NASA, and to the entire world. But I'm still alive.
Kody, how are we doing today?
I'm doing very good. Thank you for asking. Yeah, this was your pick this week. I think this is a pretty good pick from you. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, how you doing this week?
Not too bad. We're back. We're back on the podcasting grind. We're here. We're doing what the people want, and I'm excited to talk about this movie. Why don't I go ahead and get into talking a little bit about why I picked this movie? So for me, I just really love this movie. I think on this rewatch, I found a few more flaws when I was looking at it from a little bit more of a critical lens than maybe I had on the last few watches. But I just really enjoy it. I like Matt Damon as an actor a lot. I also like a ton of the supporting cast in this movie, from Jeff Daniels to Donald Glover to Chiwetel Ejiofor, Jessica Chastain, who I don't think is necessarily great in this movie, but I do enjoy her as an actress. Sebastian Stan, Michael Pena, it's a really well cast and well cast movie, and has a lot of fun characters that pop up throughout. I've always been, a fan of space growing up. So this movie, I think, kind of combines a lot of my interests. So you have like Donald Glover, Matt Damon, and space, and those are probably like the three things that I need to really be happy. And also, and similar to Interstellar, it's a movie that's very scientifically accurate. It's based on a book written by Andy Weir, which is one of my favorite books of all time. That is just like super. Even though we can't go to Mars necessarily now with the technology, like every assumption or everything we know about what it would be like to travel there and have habitable ecosystems and be able to like live there for an extended period of time, is used in this book, and then used in this movie. It is very accurate. And then finally, I just wanted the Sean Bean double feature. You gotta. We had him in National Treasure last week, so I figured, what's another Sean Bean movie? The Martian, a classic he's known for.
Absolutely. Yeah, I had that in my like initial thoughts off the bat too. That it was funny that we're doing back-to-back movies with Sean Bean, and I don't think any of the other movies that we've done before that he was an actor in. So yeah, I do appreciate the Sean Bean double feature. Yeah, I have not read the book. It seems like both are highly regarded, the book and the movie. I know you're sort of in the book. But yeah, obviously the cast, I think, is what carries this movie. Like you just listed off like 10 names there of all, I'd say, pretty highly acclaimed actors and actresses. So I definitely back that. I don't know about Interstellar being, scientifically accurate with, bookcases and stuff, but we won't get into that too much. But yeah, just like going in my initial thoughts as well. I think this is a great movie, obviously. It's sort of just like Castaway, but like on Mars, which is super interesting concept. And then they do go into it more from a scientific standpoint, which I also love. And also something you said, like just like space movies in general. That's one of like my favorite genre, like sci-fi space. So I'm definitely in that with you. But yeah, basically just getting into it more. I mean, in general, this is or it should be at least like a scary and sort of sad situation. But I think that obviously what this movie does really well, it's so positive, it's so fun, it's really funny, honestly. Like you could probably call it a comedy, but I
Oh,
mean,
definitely.
it's obviously like some dark stuff's going on. Like somebody got abandoned on Mars and is going to die within like however many days if they don't, do all this stuff. That should be like a super depressing movie, you would think, but it's really not at all. So I love that about it. Also, one thing I noticed that I didn't realize, I think I've seen this movie like 3 or 4 times. Maybe this is the fifth time I saw it. I never realized Drew Goddard wrote the screenplay for this movie. who I know through Daredevil primarily. Also like Cabin in the Woods, I think. So yeah, evidently Drew Goddard was a big part of the production of this movie, and I didn't even know it. So add another good thing to his list. But yeah, my initial thoughts are I'm super high on this movie. Yeah, what about you?
The only other thing beyond like kind of what I talked about in the why I picked this movie, but this is like just a masterclass, and we'll talk about it more like of just like how a movie star can like be at the center of a movie and just completely like carry the movie himself. And yeah, obviously there's a great supporting cast, but like this movie lives and dies on Matt Damon's shoulders. I don't know. There's a few other actors out there that I think could really do it, but I think be able to mix, like you said, the comedy and also the severity of the situation, and put the emotion in both the comedy throughout. I there's not a lot of other people that can do that. But the funny thing is, where Matt Damon was in his career was definitely a dry spell, a bit of a lull. Late 2000s, early 2010s. He had a few misses here and there. He really wasn't necessarily at the top of anyone's list. Older people love him. Good Will Hunting, The Departed, Saving Private Ryan, but like he had kind of been not doing too hot with the movies he was picking, and then comes along The Martian, movie that saved his career a little bit and revitalized it, and I think that's really awesome. So
yeah, that's true. He has made a lot of duds, I think, in our era more than like in the past. He had a meteoric rise, I think, and then this era of his career has been a little bit more hit or miss. I think something that comes to mind is the Great Wall. Do you know that movie? I haven't seen that movie, but I saw the trailer for it.
Well, that movie came out after this one, so
okay. But that's just what I think of.
But no, yeah, like this era
just made some bad movies.
There was definitely I was just recently watching one of those like where an actor like sits down and talks about their career, or it was some sort of Matt Damon interview, and he was saying that like when he got the call, like Ridley Scott reached out to him about this movie, and he was like, "Oh, do you want me to like write the script?" Because he didn't think that he would ever be wanted to like be starring in the movie at the point he was in his career. He was like, "Oh yeah, like I can help write the screenplay," and they're like, "No, like we want you to star in this," and he was like, "What? Okay, like I'll do it." And obviously it worked out. It's a a really great movie, well critically acclaimed. He got an Oscar nomination for it, so
true.
But it just kind of shows the power that this movie has. And Matt Damon's back. He was in a bad movie this year. Well, not a good movie, but a movie that performed poorly. And then he's in the next Christopher Nolan movie. So just cast in last week. So.
Oh, and the Oppenheimer. I didn't see that. He was in that other movie you like too.
The Stillwater, yeah. That came out. Yeah. And Ford versus Ferrari last year, or in 2019. I really enjoyed that movie too.
That was a hit. Yeah,
he's been doing well the last couple of years. We're not going to talk about the Great Wall and downsizing and
I was going to say
We Bought a Zoo, Promised Land.
I haven't seen We Bought a Zoo. I heard that's actually not terrible, but I don't know. ScarJo's in it,
right? Sure. The Monuments Man.
I haven't seen that either. John Goodwin.
Yes, that is true.
He's got a good IMDb, basically.
So we've been talking about how great this movie is. Let's bring it down a few pegs. What's your stupidest part?
You stupid.
I've got like 5 things here. So
all right, I've got a few. The first one is sort of just like the first couple are a little nitpicky. Sort of just like NASA. They do some interesting stuff in this movie. The first one is they pronounce him dead without even like seeing his body.
Right.
Which I thought was really weird. Obviously, you have to like release to the public like all this info because that's what NASA has to do. But I mean, you could just say, he was left behind in the storm. He's likely dead. I mean, don't throw him a damn funeral until you see the body. If I'm being honest.
They moved very quickly.
Yeah. It's like, they should know. Like, have they ever seen a movie before? Like, come on, nobody's actually ever dead if you don't see a body. That is the rule of the movies. So I guess they haven't watched movies, which is fair. Yeah, super nitpicky. Another one is him performing surgery on himself. I mean, he's a botanist. He's a botanist, bro. He's no doctor. It's an impressive thing to do. Obviously, he's super smart, super science guy. But I mean, that's super difficult. Obviously, performing surgery on yourself.
I mean,
it's not ideal.
He just staples himself up, and he definitely would have like field training for being like
obviously. But that I feel like is a pretty specific procedure, or he had shrapnel inside of him, and then he had to go in and tear it out. He didn't just have it cut and then stapled up.
The fact that he like stayed conscious the entire time and like, didn't lose too much blood.
Throwing it back to Castro, my favorite scene of that is Tom Hanks removing his tooth with that with the skates, and he just passes out instantly. But yeah, anyways, those are sort of nitpicky. But yeah, I have another one, but we can start with some of yours too. Go for it.
All right, so my first thing is that like the Sean Bean character, where he makes the decision to tell the crew, like leak the information to him, and then they plot a course that then NASA can't correct because they disable the telemetry system. And then we have the scene where he sits down, Teddy, the director of the FBI, or not the FBI, director of NASA, sits down with him, and he's like, Jeff Daniels is the character. He sits down with him, and he's like, well, I expect your resignation after this. And I feel like that's such a cliche, like tropey thing that happens in movies where like someone does the right thing, but because they go against orders, everyone still respects the decision, but they need to resign at the end of it. And I just hate that moment. It's just dumb to me. And it seems really overplayed is basically what I'm saying.
I'm not going to lie. That's one of my favorite moments of the movie.
Okay.
I don't know why, but I love Jeff Daniels and Sean Bean together. All their scenes are just so much tension. But yeah, that is true. Like I feel like that is it's the obvious right thing to do is the Purnell maneuver or whatever it's called. And I mean Jeff Daniels just for like PR reasons doesn't want to do it. So yeah, that is understandable though.
Second thing I hate, and it happens in the book, and I think that's probably why they included it in the movie, but I just think in the movie they didn't really have enough time to develop it. The whole like Sebastian Stan and the other chick's relationship on the ship, like
the girl from Van Forstic.
Yeah, it just seems really forced and like doesn't seem relevant to the plot. It's just like a weird, not even B story, like D plot line that there's a couple scenes that kind of like he waves to her and then she kisses his helmet and then they have a baby.
And then they have a kid. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all
the screen time they have. I think.
It's very much, it's just, they probably could have cut it out. Like I know they put it in as fan service to people who've read the book. I know there's like a part where the captain, Jessica Chastain's character, is like, hey, I know you guys have been screwing, but like we've been on this thing for 2 times as long, so it's okay. Like I just know, like I'm not happy about it.
I wish that was in the movie. Yeah, that'd been funny.
The next thing I had is just, I wrote it down in my notes as international diplomacy ? Again, we talked about this last week with our movie and how, like political climate and the way the world is, like maybe 2015 things seemed a little bit more hopeful, maybe a very Obama era movie, maybe international diplomacy like this would really happen, or just, scientists working with scientists to bring someone home. But in reality, I think in our current, international climate, us working with China in this scenario seems pretty unlikely. There's a great amount of animosity between our two countries, and just like the world in general. People seem rather selfish. So I like the idea that, hey, scientists would support scientists and try and bring an astronaut home. But plausibility, especially now in 2021, it does not seem very very likely to me to happen. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's probably true. After after everything that's been going on with like coronavirus and then Trump's relationships with China and everything, I'd say it's not likely that this would happen, which is true. But yeah, that is kind of tough to think about. I didn't think about that at all. Like, even if China had this technology and it happened, and like this happened in like 15 years, would they share it with us nowadays? Right. That's an interesting question to ask. And yeah, the answer is probably no. So,
and like, even, true. I don't know, it's tough because people come together in times of need, but if the last year hasn't really seemed to display that like that much, it seems like everybody's been working against each other. I'll tell you what, there's some pretty emotional moments in this movie. Like when all the people are gathered around watching on the big screens in Times Square and Tokyo and like all across the world, like rooting for the singular person, like that's great. But it might be looking at the world with some rose-colored glasses a little bit.
Corbin has lost his faith in humanity.
I'm so cynical. I know these last 2 movies, I've just become so cynical. But hey, awesome. I do love getting in. Well, wait a second. Do you have anything else that's stupid about this movie?
I do have another big one that is my biggest gripe on the movie.
Okay.
And it's the fact that there's just a bunch of crap on Mars to help him out with every single problem he needs. The first thing is the old communication device, which that one is actually kind of passable because that would make sense. It's there.
The Pathfinder.
I mean, yeah, the Pathfinder. The one that really I'm not a big fan of is there's like a whole other ship there with all this fuel and crap, so he can get off the planet. Which I mean, that it's just a scapegoat. I feel like I'm gonna throw this word out again. Haven't said it on the podcast for a while.
Here it is.
It's
the God machine.
My God, dude, that's the biggest ex machina I've ever seen in my life. But but I need to bring ex machina back. I haven't talked about that forever in the pod. But yeah, I mean, it's obviously it helps the story moves along more quickly and stuff. Obviously, it's a lot better movie, I think, if they can communicate with him. It makes it a lot more. There's a lot more comedic moments, at least as well, when he's typing out like the F-bombs and stuff. I love that part. But yeah, I mean, there is a bunch of crap on Mars that would likely be there, like the Pathfinder. But I mean, a whole other ship where you can get off the planet. I'm not too sure about that one. But yeah, that's just a plot gripe, I think. Nothing.
Something I had written down was that maybe things are a little too easy in the movie. In the book, I think it does a better job. There's more stuff that happens to him that goes wrong in the book that they don't include in this movie. One big thing is when he's traveling from his area to the Ares 5 launcher, there's like the giant dust storm that they see that he's gonna have to, but like NASA can see it, but they can't communicate with him anymore. And like they know that like once he gets into it, he's not gonna be able to charge his solar panels. But they see him like walking, like driving into his death, and they can't do anything. I mean, he has to figure out a way around it and like solve the problem on his own. There's a lot more, like it goes into the in-depth science of everything. It talks about like him doing his calculations. So it makes it seem like, oh, this is a lot more plausible. The other thing is like it addresses the fact that, yeah, he's a botanist, but also like he's a mechanical engineer as his second, like botanist first, but mechanical engineer. And he's trained to like be able to do someone else. Like every person on the crew is trained to do the other's tasks. And like, so he's not just some dude who can grow plants that then is also like engineering a ship and like fixing the hat, like all the stuff he does. He's an astronaut sent to Mars. They're only going to choose the best. But the movie definitely glosses over a couple things that go wrong and makes it a little bit easier because there's just not enough time to pack all that stuff in at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, that's translating any book. I feel like you're always gonna have to drop a thread or two from the book, sort of like what you're talking about with the Sebastian Stan Van Forstic relationship.
Right.
I mean, you can still put it into the movie sometimes, but you can't flesh out everything from like a 500, 800 page book, however long it is. But yeah, that's understandable.
All right, you want to move on to our favorite scene?
Let's do it.
She is very gorgeous to me.
I feel like this movie isn't really one where it's easy to pick like individual scenes. Like I think there's like singular moments that are really great, but like there's not necessarily a whole scene because just like the structure of the movie. I will say that the scene that we were just talking about a minute ago, where all the people are out in Times Square and all over across the world watching on the TVs, and there's like the 12-minute delay and they're all cheering and rooting for him, and then that intercut with them actually launching from Mars and trying to intercept with the name of the ship, I can't remember, the Hermes, intercept with the Hermes ship, and like everything that they have to do to figure it out. It's like definitely very emotional, very uplifting, and I do enjoy that scene quite a bit. The other two moments that I like are just two of the jokes. I think the thing where he talks about like colonizing Mars, I think is really funny and well played out, and just like and then the other one, him being a space pirate. It's a joke taken straight from the book, but it plays out just as well and is really well timed. And I think, it's Matt Damon just being by himself and being great.
I think, that's probably the most memorable scene in the movie, honestly. It's just the two you're talking about, where he's just like, we're in his head. He's thinking about, he colonized Mars, and he's a space pirate, which is super fun. I agree with what you're saying, honestly. It's hard to pick out specific scenes in this movie because it's just not that kind of movie. It's a slow burn, I think, for the most part, which isn't a bad thing at all. But I do have a couple here that I put down. The opening the opening scene where they escape, I think is very good. Just like the emotion during the launch of all the actors when they're leaving him behind, I think is super powerful. That cast, honestly, they don't have a ton to do, like the Hermes cast, but I think the stuff that they do have is super emotional, and they do it very, very well. And yeah, my other one that I really like is kind of an odd pick, but I'm a sucker for like end credit scene, not like end credits. But I'm a sucker for credit scenes with like a fun song and like going through it like we've gone to the future for like 6 months and seeing what they're doing now. I don't know why, but I love that. They got the Soul Train or Love Train, whatever it's called. Love that song. I mean, I don't know why, but that is my favorite scene in this movie by far. So that's what I'm thinking.
That is a good. I enjoy that too. A little mid credits, like, and it's funny because they do like the editing thing where like it shows their face and then they put their name next to it.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
That's the credit. It's very cheesy, but it is great.
It is very cheesy, but yeah, I'm a fan.
Okay, now we can move on to who can act.
Wow.
Do you want to get us started?
Mm-hmm.
Who can act?
Well, yeah. First off, I mean, obviously Matt Damon. You were talking about earlier, so I'll let that slide by. But yeah, I mean, it's his movie. I feel like we say that a lot when we're doing this. If you have like the majority of the screen time and you're not a bad actor, it's gonna show. So obviously Matt Damon, and he's nominated. So I mean, can't go against the Academy. But I do have a couple of honorable mentions, and they're Benedict Wong and the best name in the game, Chiwetel Ejiofor, the Doctor Strange boys. They got great chemistry, I think, as well. I said Sean Bean and Jeff Daniels do too, but I think Benedict Wong and Chiwetel Ejiofor are the main duo in this movie that I really, really connect with. I don't know. I'm just a fan of all their scenes. Super good chemistry. Yeah, but those are just my honorable mentions. My personal favorite, he has no screen time, but it's Donald Glover. I think he steals the last half of this movie, or maybe not the last half, but the last
middle
15
third
minutes or whatever he's in. Yeah. I love Donald Glover. So him interacting with his boss and just completely ignoring him, and then him just walking into the director like this massive meeting with these superhead people and not knowing who they are and not really giving a shit who they are, but just presenting his stuff. He's my favorite actor in this movie, and I think Donald Glover should have more work, honestly. But yeah, he's my pick for best actor.
Speaking of that meeting, there's a little call back there. Sean Bean talking about the Council of Elrond being in Lord of the Rings, and of course, he is in the Lord of the Rings. So that's always
he
fun.
was at that council.
He was there. He was the real deal. Obviously, Matt Damon is my number one pick in this. I've talked about it plenty. I'm a big fan of his. I think this movie, like I said, not many people that could do it. I'd be interested to see like this movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, one of my other favorite actors, if he could pull it off. I don't think I don't know if he could pull this off in the same way that Matt Damon does. So, and that's my hot take, even though I love Leo. I'll talk about him a little bit more shortly when we get to the Welcome to the Academy section. But
did he win the Oscar this year?
Yeah.
He's nominated. I didn't realize it.
So we'll talk about
Matt
that.
Damon robbed.
Matt Damon in the Revenant ?
I'd see that.
Here's but moving on. The other person I want to talk about is Jeff Daniels. I actually recently saw Jeff Daniels perform as Atticus. I recently saw Jeff Daniels perform as Atticus Finch on Broadway in To Kill a Mockingbird. I think Jeff Daniels is a severely underrated actor. I think he really shines when he's got a Sorkin script to work with. But he also really works well in this movie. The character that he plays of this like kind of an asshole, but also the one who has to make the hard decisions and be the businessman and look at things from a lot of different perspectives. I think he plays really well. It's very similar to a character he has in the movie Steve Jobs, where he plays like John Scully, who's the president of the board for Apple. He kind of has to be an asshole, but make the hard decisions that are sometimes the correct decisions or sometimes the wrong decisions. So I shout out Jeff Daniels.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I think we should shoot straight into who can act. Because interesting enough, my pick is Jeff Daniels. I don't know what to think about Jeff Daniels' performance in this movie. I have a question mark next to his name and who can't act, and that's just primarily because it is super hard to pick somebody who can't act. Yeah, I don't know. I like Jeff Daniels more in comedic roles. I think he is a decent like serious actor, but I just don't buy sometimes what he's saying, and that is the entirety of acting, I think. So yeah, I'm gonna throw it out there. Jeff Daniels, you can't act, dude. Come at me. He was all actually. I did want to point out he was on an episode of Impractical Jokers where he was his acting skills on that were not great either. Basically, to run down the episode, he had to act like he was somebody farted and he was gonna fire him. Great show, you should check it out. But he was shit in the episode, so I think maybe that just didn't translate well to this movie either, you know.
You've probably have you ever seen that clip from, I think it's from Newsroom, where
I have seen
he's
that.
like he does the like America's 5th in the world in this. Yeah, so I think he like plays that like grandiose, like larger than life, like, is this a real person? Could I actually ever find somebody that acts like this in the real world? Characters up a lot more, like the very strong male over the top character. Whereas like if he's doing something like you said on Impractical Jokers where he's trying to play a real person, probably not great, or like trying to be believable as that. It definitely is a very like stage actory performance too, like expressive and outward, and like so sometimes it doesn't necessarily translate to the screen in the same way that that it does for other actors. So
that's interesting.
I can see what you're saying.
Yeah. So basically you're saying he's a good actor in the role of him being like this super serious and just like focused guy all the time.
Yeah.
Which is actually interesting because maybe he is good in that role. And that I didn't really think that's what he's going for in this movie, but maybe it is. Because I feel like that is definitely what he's going for in Newsroom. Is just like this super smart, super like, oh, he's got facts. Like he's never like cracking jokes or anything. But he kind of doesn't crack any jokes in this movie, does he? He's
not really. He's pretty
fair
serious.
Enough. Yeah. So maybe you got a point there. I didn't think about that at all. So yeah, Jeff Daniels just dead serious. I respect it.
All right. So now to take one of your people that you think can't act, it really pains me to say this because I am a huge Donald Glover fan. I love Donald Glover. I love
Donald Glover.
Listen, I think he's great. I will watch anything that he's in. I'm a huge Atlanta fan. He's one of my favorite musical artists of all time. I think he's one of the most talented people just on the planet, period, in terms of singing and writing and acting and directing. But in this movie, I just don't think the character's right for him. I really do not think it's good. Like he tries to be this really like weird, nerdy character. And I just think it's so against type from every other character. Like, so in Community he plays Troy, and yes, he's kind of nerdy there, but he's also like this jock athlete, like dumb character. In Atlanta, he plays a guy from the streets of Atlanta who's very smart, but not like in a nerdy, like works at NASA way. Like he's a Princeton dropout in Atlanta, but it's not the same kind of like socially awkward, like maybe there's something a little bit wrong with this guy. Like did he ever have any friends? Like I just don't like him in that character.
I think you're reading into it way too much. I think
it's because I like him so much. I want him to be really good, and I just think it's like it's not his best work. That's the thing. And compared to everything else he's done, like this is probably the worst he's ever done in anything.
Oh fucking jazz! I don't back that at all. I think you're looking at it way too much as it's Donald Glover, and it's not this character. Probably. Because I mean, obviously his character in Atlanta.
I think he's too large for like he's larger than life. He's greater than this character. No. And I think it sucks that he's been stuck in this Rich Purnell box.
That's pretty funny. This is like if you love Drake and Drake was in a movie and he played like a nerd. This is
I can see Drake as a nerd. No. Fuck Drake.
You'd be like, this isn't Drake. This is not what he should be doing. Drake? He's the best he's the best singer of all time. Like,
but I don't feel that way about Drake.
No, but you feel that way about
Donald Glover.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I don't think that makes much logic to me, but hey, fair enough. I did have another who can't act.
Well, I have one more as well.
Okay, perfect. It's that bald guy in the Hermes Crew. I don't even know. His name's weird. I think he's like German or something. I don't know anything else he's in.
Well, yeah.
But yeah. I feel like he's the obvious like worst actor, like
Axel
probably
Hinnie.
Yeah. Oh, his name's Axel. That's actually kind of a cool name. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna replace this guy. Spoiler alert. He just doesn't really add anything to the movie. I think if you have two interesting crew members, I think you have Jessica Chastain, who's the super serious leader, and then you have Michael Pena, who's just lovable and pretty good friends with
cracking the jokes
with Watney. Yeah. And then I mean you have the couple or whatever, blah, and then you have the science guy who makes a bomb. I feel like he could have one memorable scene where he makes a bomb and says some weird stuff or whatever. But Axel, he's all right. He's not bad, but I feel like he is definitely the worst actor in this movie.
My second pick, I mentioned her earlier. I think Jessica Chastain is like so bad in this movie, like
really
embarrassingly bad. And I think Jessica Chastain is a great actress. Like she's really good in Molly's Game. She's great in the movie I just saw, The Eyes of Tammy Faye. Like I think she's really good, but like she's just phoning it in for this movie. Her faces when she's like trying to be sad or whatever and like upset about Mark Watney are just like the most unbelievable bullshit. Like there's no emotion. It's awful in my opinion. Like it almost just takes me out of the movie and makes me hate it.
Mm-hmm.
It seems that
I think she definitely just took a paycheck for this one. It's not her most committed role. I don't think she's bad, but she's definitely not good.
It's like her in that X-Men movie. It's like that level of bad. Like, why are you in
my God. I erased that out of my mind that she's in that movie.
Or no, she's in the other one.
No.
Dark
she's
Phoenix?
in the Dark Phoenix, yeah. She's the bad guy or whatever.
She's like an alien, yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know. But yeah, to point out a good Jessica Chastain performance that you didn't mention, she's amazing in Interstellar. That's the only good thing from that movie, basically. But yeah, fair enough. I'm not going to argue that one too much.
All right. Let's move on to, well, actually, before that, let's take a quick commercial break and then we'll be right back.
Commercial break.
And we're back. All right. We've got the recast.
You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired.
Kody, who are you recasting? I think you already mentioned it, but who are you replacing them with?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll go after the bald guy in a bit. I'm going to take out Jeff Daniels too. You might have swayed me a little bit, but I have an option that I think is very much better than him anyways. So yeah, he's gone. I need somebody who's got some gravitas to the role of NASA. I want somebody who's a little bit intimidating. So I'm going for a guy who generally just scares at me. I mean, generally scares me. I feel like if he's gonna like staring at me, dude, it's Denzel Washington, man.
Ooh.
If that guy was the head of NASA in this movie, no one would question anything he's saying at any times. He has that command when he's in a room, I feel like. And it adds another like very, very good actor, obviously, to this movie, which fits in with the rest of the cast. So yeah, give me Denzel.
Here's my question. Mm-hmm. If Denzel's the head of NASA, he gives the order, don't tell the crew. Can you defy those orders from Denzel? I don't think you can. I think Mark Watney dies.
They can be defied, but it's going to come at more of a consequence. Sean Bean and Denzel are going to start throwing fists in that room right there.
Hey, I like that.
Denzel's not going to have any of that. Yeah. He's not going to say you're resigned. He's going to say, I'll kick your ass out the door right now if you never come back.
Beautiful. All right. I also have two picks, so we can ping pong back and forth here. So I'm going to be replacing Jessica Chastain. I'm going to replace her with another great female actress, a similar age group, Cate Blanchett. I think she's a really great actress. She can dive into a role, and maybe she'll try harder than Jessica Chastain will.
She only has like 3 lines though, so she's just gonna phone it in too. I don't know.
Well, I think Denzel's probably too big for his character as well. For being honest,
Jeff Daniels is half the movie. Him and Chiwetel and Benedict Wong are basically half the movie, I feel like. But yeah, I mean, obviously, what's her face is very, very good.
Here's what I will say,
but I don't know. I like Jessica Chastain.
In credit order,
Blanchett.
Jessica Chastain is the second credited person, so she's like second
true.
Build, which is weird because she does play a small role.
She got
exactly.
Paid, that's why. Yeah.
Jeff Daniels is 4th, and we haven't even talked about the person who's 3rd.
Who's 3rd?
Well, it's the other person I'm going to replace, Kristen Wiig. We have not spoken about her. She's in this movie.
3rd billing. I don't know. Yeah, that's the billing is also very strange. So
yeah.
Chiwetel was last.
She just doesn't really do much in this movie. It's a
go ahead, sorry.
She's a good actor. She's like a good funny actress. But I got a little dark horse pick here. I'm going Rashida Jones in for
Nice.
Kristen Wiig. I think like her character in The Social Network, where she just kind of like, not necessarily her in Parks and Rec, but like her in Social Network or some of the other work she's done. I think she can play this like White House correspondent or NASA correspondent, press person. So that's my pick.
I like that pick. Yeah, anybody from The Office, just throw them in. I back that at all times. So yeah. Also, it's funny we haven't talked about Kristen Wiig in all this movie. I feel like she's super forgettable, and I don't know how she's third billing at all. But yeah, my last recast, I'm going after the bald guy. And like I said, I want another memorable character on the Hermes crew other than Pena and Chastain. So I'm taking a pretty big actor here. No Axel, bald guy. I'm going for Eddie Murphy.
Will he be bald?
Sure. It's up to Eddie. He can grow his hair however he likes, basically. But yeah, I think I would just want a little bit more comedic punch from that character, and obviously Eddie can do that. And he might have to memorize some science mumbo jumbo, because I don't know how much he's into all that, making bombs and stuff. But he can read his lines. It's not that hard. But yeah, I love Eddie Murphy. Hilarious comedian. I was debating between him or Jerry Seinfeld, and
God.
I'm glad I went with Eddie Murphy. I actually saw Coming to America for the first time recently.
Yeah, it's a good
Great
movie.
James Earl Jones, kind of a dick in that movie, but I just love James Earl Jones. But yeah, I thought who's a good comedian who's a little bit older and hasn't worked in a ton of serious stuff, like bringing them into the scene a little bit.
Well, speaking of him being older, I think he's just kind of too old for this movie.
How old's Axel? He's like 60, bro.
I would say I don't think that's true.
He's at least 50.
He's born in 1975, so he's 46 right now, and he would have been 41 when this movie came out. Whereas Eddie Murphy is now 60, so about 15 years older.
He would have been like 50.
I just don't think they're sending 50-year-olds into space. Like maybe 40s.
Really realistic.
I'm just saying he's a little old. But it's a fun pick. Better than Jerry Seinfeld. I'm glad you did not pick Jerry Seinfeld. That would have been awful.
Maybe it's like he's been in space for like 10 years and this is his last mission or something. You can write anything into a movie. Come on.
Fair enough. Sure. All right, we'll move on to Welcome to the Academy.
There's a mistake. Moonlight, you guys won Best Picture.
Moonlight won.
Kody, what does this movie win?
I got 3 awards for this movie. The first one is it's got the most realistic space pirate. There are some other movies with space pirates in it, some in Star Wars, some in Star Trek, notably that I can think of. Yeah, this is the most realistic one because literally he is a space pirate and this is in real life. So I don't see any movie beating that. So they win the Oscar. That's my first one. How many Oscars you got for this movie?
Well, I've got 2. First of all, I want to give this movie Best Picture runner-up in the year. So it came out in 2015. So the 2016 Oscars, Spotlight won in 2016, which I do think is a better movie. But let this one have second place. Give it the silver medal. They should give a runner-up every year. And
they should release the rankings. Honestly, that'd be sick.
I think it's the second best movie, at least nominated for Best Picture in this year. So,
well, who would have been third? Who are you comparing it to?
Well, give me your next category and I'll tell you.
Oh, okay. Also, Spotlight, Moonlight. every time you say Spotlight, it's really
we never did the Spotlight after the Moonlight pod. That is unfortunate.
It's tough. Yeah, I didn't talk about any of the real Oscars. I just made up Oscars. So my next one this is probably the coolest NASA PR movie. I feel like no other movie really does like looking behind, what is going on in NASA. And this, like, half this movie literally is just public relations. I can't talk today. It is basically just a PR movie, I think. And I find that super interesting, especially because half the time with NASA, I feel like we have no idea what they're thinking. Another similar movie that I could say also would be nominated for this category is Apollo 13, which is a very good movie as well. Tom Hanks classic. I think I'm just talking about Tom Hanks today because I brought up Castaway too. I forgot about that. Yeah, I think PR is interesting to me, and I don't know shit about NASA, so it wins the Oscar for that.
Definitely, makes them look like a heroic source. My third place is going to be The Big Short. And then
I got The Big Short over this movie.
Fourth place, I'll take Mad Max Fury Road.
How the hell is that nominated for Best Picture?
Other movies that I haven't seen: Bridge of Spies, Brooklyn, The Revenant, and Room. Oh, I've seen Room, but Room's okay. Yeah, so those are all the movies nominated for Best Picture that year. Big Short's pretty good. It might be tied with The Martian, but
it's close, I'd say. Yeah,
I think Spotlight is far and away a lot better than both of them.
I haven't seen Spotlight.
Spotlight's really good.
Moonlight.
All right, and my other Welcome to the Academy is my take is Matt Damon should have won Best Actor this year. Leonardo DiCaprio won for The Revenant.
Right.
Probably like one of like only 2 Leonardo DiCaprio performances I've never seen. This movie just doesn't interest me a whole lot. And I've heard a lot of great things about it. He is good in it, but I know it was kind of just, hey, we haven't given him an Oscar. He's lost a couple times, so let's give it to him. Kind of case. And I think what Matt Damon does in this movie, I think is probably more impressive to me. Other nominees this year: Bryan Cranston for Trumbo, Michael Fassbender for Steve Jobs, which is a great performance, and then Eddie Redmayne in The Danish Girl. I say give it to Matt Damon. He's only been nominated. This is only the second time he's been nominated for Best Actor, which I think is kind of crazy, considering I think his role in The Departed is also really great. But yeah,
I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely robbed in The Departed of just a nomination at least. What was the other movie that he got Best Actor for? Was it Good Will Hunting?
Good Will Hunting, yeah. And then he was nominated for Best Supporting for Invictus, which is he just doesn't he doesn't accent. I mean, that's really
Morgan
what it comes
Freeman.
down to.
Yeah, I've seen that movie. It's not bad.
Clint Eastwood.
That is interesting, honestly. Leo, I haven't seen The Revenant either, if I'm being completely honest.
I don't know. So I just don't have it. I have no interest. I have no interest.
I don't either. I mean, it seems like just not a very interesting premise to me. I saw the bear scene on YouTube.
That's pretty rough.
I feel like that's pretty much the gist of the movie that I would want to see. Yeah, I don't know. I think it was a tight race between Damon. Well, I mean, Fassbender, I think, is definitely in the race as well. But I don't know. That is a tough pick for the Academy, and I think they could have gone either way, and people wouldn't really have been mad. So
my take is that Leo should have won like 2 or 3 prior to this.
Yeah.
So it sucks that this is the year that he wins. I mean, everyone probably agrees with that take, but I think Departed, he's really great in. Wolf of Wall Street, obviously, is an iconic performance. He's great in The Aviator. Titanic. I don't know if that's a Best Actor performance. But at the very least, I think like Aviator, The Departed, and
what about What's Eating Gilbert Grape?
That's kind of problematic for me. I don't love that. Him doing that in that movie, but that's fair. Django Unchained, also Best Supporting Actor. What?
Yeah, that is crazy. He was nominated for that, honestly. I feel like his screen time is nothing, but I think he deserves it just for that improvised scene where I actually cut his hand open on that plate. But yeah, I do have one more Oscar I want to give this movie, and I don't know if it's actually going to win it, but it's definitely nominated for the most bleeped F-bombs. We've got a few different instances where they I'm assuming this movie is PG-13.
Yeah, they definitely went for
there was an F-bomb early, I think, actually, in the movie. I was like, is this R? But then I think the next time where he was typing it out, it was like cut off. It just said F, and then
they did
like
the stars.
dot or whatever. Yeah. And then also when he was in the vehicle as well, and they said they told him that sound. They told him that they hadn't told the crew yet, and he's like, what the fuck? But he couldn't. You just had to read his lips, which I do like that as an editing trick. But I just thought that was funny because there's an F-bomb pretty early on in the movie, if I'm not wrong about that. And then the rest of the movie starts like covering it up because he does kind of cuss a lot. And
yeah, they get around it
in the book.
PG-13.
Does he cuss a lot too?
Yeah, he definitely like it doesn't have to play around with like the fact that they can only say the F word once. So like it's just kind of like a natural thing. Like when the time makes sense that he would be cussing, he cusses. And the other interesting thing about the book is like it's not like him doing a vlog basically like he is in the movie. It's him writing like a journal is like the whole thing. It's like you're reading his journal essentially for half the book. But yeah, there's
It's
definitely like
media,
he writes
yeah.
the book is very funny also. Like he writes the jokes, he cusses, he does, it's very naturalistic in the way that he's writing. All right, so now we're gonna move on to weird movie details trivia.
Naked grandma.
Naked, huh?
I only have one question that's a little bit expansive, so I just stuck with one. How many?
I have two. So
okay, so you can start.
So yeah, you know what? I've been taking it easy on you recently.
Okay, I'm ready.
And weird movie trivia. So my first question is it's a bit of a stickler, and I don't even think I'm going to give you options because I'm just not a nice guy.
Okay.
So the question is, what soul did Mark Watney leave Mars?
500 something. 587.
587 is that your final answer?
586, 587, one of those.
No, it's 517. Not even close, dude.
Hey, it had a 7.
Fake fan. Over one, baby.
Over one.
You're not getting any more gimmies, all right?
All right. This is I think you can do this, so I'm gonna make it difficult for you.
Oh.
So in this movie, there are 6 actors that have also appeared in an MCU movie. Without pulling up the cast list.
Oh, I got this.
Who are the 6 actors, and what are the names of the characters they played?
Mm-hmm. So obviously you have Sebastian Stan, obviously Bucky Barnes,
and potentially this is like the one, like the movie with the most MCU characters that's a non-MCU movie. So
that's true, honestly. And then obviously the next couple we got my boys I was talking about, Benedict Wong. I believe he just plays Wong in MCU, which is kind of weird. Chiwetel Ejiofor, Baron Mordo. I feel like, is he even coming back for the sequel? I don't even know.
He was set up as the villain in the post-credit scene,
obviously,
and then I think he is coming back. But
they're doing Multiverse of Madness with like Scarlet Witch now.
I don't know if he's actually going to play a role. Yeah.
I like Chiwetel. Yeah. Also, another thing that came straight to my mind was Matt Damon is in Thor Ragnarok as a fake Loki. He's playing Loki.
Yep.
Yeah,
4.
Okay. Donald Glover, he's in Spider-Man: Homecoming.
What's the name of his character?
I don't know. It's Miles Morales' uncle, whatever his name is. It's the Prowler from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Aaron Davis.
Sure, Aaron. Who else is in this movie? Jessica Chastain. Oh, Michael Pena's an Ant-Man. He's Luis. Yep. Let's go, baby.
There you go. You got all 6.
I like that. I feel like Matt Damon was the hard one, and that was like instantly what popped in my mind.
Yeah,
so kind of got lucky there, but I'll take it. All right. I dominate weird movie trivia. So let's go into your second question, though, which is also I actually don't know. You might get this because it's just a line from the movie that I think is memorable to me, and I don't know why, but I just really like it, so I want to talk about it. The question is, what was Benedict Wong's uncle's name from China? So the context of the scene is they were talking about how China contacted them, and he said, "Oh, my uncle blank from China helped us out, so we got another chance at this."
It's something that's kind of racist. Like it's a very stereotypical Chinese name, right?
So, not it sort of is it kind of is, but it's kind of not at the same time. I feel
it's not like it could be worse. Like they could.
Mm-hmm. It's a common American name, but it could probably be a little racist.
And also it's not like actually his uncle. He's just making it like a weird joke about him being Chinese.
No, the uncle was in quotations. I should have
dang it. I honestly don't. Can I get choices? That probably
I
should
feel like
do
you're just
that.
gonna give it away.
Let's not do that. Yeah.
Okay.
I have no idea. Sorry.
No
0 for 2.
That's tough. It's Tommy. Uncle Tommy.
Uncle Tommy. Okay. Yeah.
Which really isn't racist.
That's really not. No.
I don't know why that line always sticks out to me when I watch the movie.
I think it's just because he says my Uncle Tommy from China, which is like it's like you're just being weird.
I agree. All right, 0 for 2 on weird movie trivia. Tough luck this week, but I'm sure I'll be back next week.
All right. Pitch time. I'll start. My pitch is I like, you talked about the end of the movie. I like the scene where it's old Mark Watney and he's training all the astronauts. So maybe give me 10 years down the road, let Matt Damon really age a little bit, and have him play a little like Top Gun Maverick sort of situation. You got that movie coming out with Tom Cruise as like the older mentor. I mean, they do it all the time, you know, the older mentor figure has to mentor some people that are then this time they're going to the moon. It's not as cool as Mars, but you know, they're going to the moon. He's got to train some recruits, and then something goes wrong, and we got to see if old Mark Watney's training has served these young and dashing actors well enough. Maybe we get Timothy Chalamet, put Tom Holland in there, get them both in there.
I like that.
You know, just a couple other young actors, just whoever. Saoirse Ronan, get Saoirse Ronan. We need her.
I would actually probably watch that movie. I'm not gonna lie. That's not one of your worst pitches, so not too bad. Yeah, basically for this movie, I don't think you need a sequel immediately. So mine is also 10 years later in the future. But I got a hell of a pitch for you today. I'm not gonna lie. I couldn't really think of anything good for a sequel, so I kind of just went out there a little bit. And yeah, I want to see a similar situation happen to somebody else, not Mark Watney, because his story's over. I think he's done about everything he could do. So yeah, and you know what? The moon, that's too close. We got to go farther away. So we're going to Pluto.
Jesus.
My sequel is called The Plutonian. We might change that. I don't really know what you call citizens of Pluto. If there's a better name, we can definitely change the title. But my person getting stuck on Pluto, it's actually ScarJo. Scarlett Johansson, another MCU actor, we'll bring it into this universe. And Matt Damon is also returning, by the way. He's like he's sort of like the Jeff Daniels role. He's not like the head of NASA, but he's up there in NASA. He's making decisions. And yeah, basically they just have to do this all over again. Where ScarJo's stuck on Pluto. Ridley Scott is also back as well. I think we haven't really talked about him at all, and I think he did a very good job directing. Maybe was he nominated for Best Director? I guess not, but he definitely should have been considered. But yeah, basically the simple plot is ScarJo's stuck on Pluto. You definitely can't grow anything there. Instead of focusing on potatoes, we're going to focus on a different vegetable, maybe some onions. Maybe some beets, you know, just go wild out here. But yeah, ScarJo's stuck on a planet. Why not? I'd watch it.
Yeah, get some onions, just like Holes. Make it the Holes crossover. Onions cure everything.
I forgot that was in Holes.
Who dies?
Well, that is true. Someone does have to die. But I said I am making an exception and breaking my rule. Nobody's gonna die because this is a feel-good movie. Nobody dies in The Martian. Nobody has to die in the sequel. I could kill off Jeff Daniels, I guess. Maybe he's died of old age. That's not very sad.
He's just gone. It's not necessarily a plot point, but you know, he's not around. You assume.
Yeah. Sean
he's
Bean
dead,
is actually
retired.
Sean Bean is probably dead in 10 years. That guy looks pretty old. But I would want him returning if he's not dead. So if he's dead, write it into the movie. But if he's not, we're having him back. So that's sort of my catch-22 there or whatever.
All right. Who's older, Sean Bean or Jeff Daniels?
I would say, I'd say Sean Bean. What, Jeff Daniels? What, he used it the 90s? He was a kid with Jim Carrey. Sean Bean, man, what was he in earliest that I've seen? Maybe that James Bond movie. That was probably the 90s too, and he's like middle-aged. I don't know.
Jeff Daniels is 66 and Sean Bean is 62. So
Jeff Daniels is old as hell. My God.
Yeah, he looks like it now too. It's been the last couple of years have not been too kind to him.
He's almost 70, dude. Yeah, that's when it starts getting you, I feel like.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Maybe he'll stop acting finally. But I hope so at least. Yeah, geez. Don't see that guy anymore.
Alrighty then. We'll move on and we'll give this movie a rating.
You're gonna look at me and you're gonna tell me that I'm wrong? Am I wrong? It's my favorite.
Kody, why don't you take it away? What's your rating out of 69?
Absolutely. Out of 69. This is a good movie. I put this probably in, I mean, for sure in like my top 50 favorite movies, maybe like top 30. It's up there. I like this movie a lot. I'm going to give it a 60 out of 69. I think that's fair. That's not super high for me on my score, but I love this movie. I don't have a ton of flaws with it, but yeah, I'm going 60. It's not like the upper echelon of me for like for me, it would be like Arrival's up there for sci-fi space stuff, obviously, because I talk about the movie all the time. But yeah, you know, it's not in the upper echelon for me, but it's definitely on the next level. So I'm going with 60.
I do like this movie a lot. Like I said, there's a couple more things I noticed that I thought were kind of dumb or like I didn't like as much in hindsight rewatching. So I've got it at a 57.5. So I gave School Rock was a 57 and Her was 58 for me. I put it in as of the movies we've watched this on this podcast. I think it's in between those two for me.
That's baloney. When do we start doing halves? You got to pick a number.
Right now, I'm picking a half right now, 57.5. I think
that's a cop out. That's such a cop out. You have to pick one or the other.
See, I have a letterbox list that is all the movies we've watched, and I rank them like all the podcast movies, and we rank them. And I think it's a 4.5 star movie. I put it right in between School Rock and Her, and School Rock is a 58 or 57, and Her is 58. So
you've heard is a 5-star movie.
No, it's a 4.5 as well. They're both 4.5. They're all 4.5 movies, but
gotcha.
So
I think you gotta give a number here. Is it in the Her category? Is it in the School Rock category?
I think it's probably more in the Her category. So I'd say I'll go 58 for you. 58.
Fair. I mean, the next movie that you like, you're just gonna put like wedge in between that, and it's gonna be like 57.25 or something.
I know. Well, it's tough
at that point. It's definitely not easy, but you know that's why we have it out of 69. It makes it difficult.
True. Sometimes things get the same score. It's okay. It's gonna be all right.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So that's The Martian. Now we can move on. Kody, recommendations. What have you been into recently? What's going on with you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got a few recs. Recently, I watched Silver Linings Playbook again, which is just a great movie. Bobby De Niro, fantastic in that. Obviously, Bradley Cooper, I think that's his best. Also, Jennifer Lawrence, I mean, she won the dang Oscar for it. She is just also unbelievable in that movie. The acting is, I think, on par with this movie as well. Yeah, very good. If you haven't seen that, definitely check it out. David O. Russell. I still haven't seen Dune or Eternals, actually. So we can't have any Dune talk again this week, I guess. I'm definitely going to see it. I was just busy this weekend. I was going to go see it yesterday, but it didn't happen. Got plastered instead. You know, sometimes that happens. But yeah, I did also just want to recommend some space movies that I really like. Sort of like realistic sci-fi. Like, I feel like that's just my genre. Just being I don't know if you've seen any of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Probably not. Very good show. Also, just similar movies that I said as well. Arrival, Apollo 13. Definitely check that out if you haven't seen that. And then Contact. Have you seen Contact?
No.
You haven't. All right. I mean, it's not the best movie. It's got McConaughey and Jodie Foster. It's kind of like a sappy love story movie half the time, but it actually is super interesting, like sci-fi stuff to it as well. So check that out if you like that kind of genre. But yeah, some other things. Obviously, I have to talk about Survivor. Have you seen the Merge episode?
I did. Yeah, I watched it on Wednesday.
God damn, we finally got a good episode of Survivor. Holy
The ending was pretty crazy.
Yes, this was my favorite episode of the season by far. Next week should be very good as well because it wasn't even resolved fully. There's still an idol in play that everybody knows about, so it should be fun. But yeah,
the way Xander played it like a fiddle. It was good. I enjoyed that a lot.
That was one of the best idol holds in Survivor history. Big fan of that move. But another thing I did want to talk about. Did you see the Stranger Things 4 trailer?
I did. Interesting.
What do you think about it?
Not a lot of like the fantasy, like sci-fi type stuff, and very much just like a lot of just shooting and like the army. So I'm curious to see how much it leans into like the upside down stuff, or if it goes more in that direction of like the government fighting against them.
Yeah,
more of like an espionage type thing. And also they said screw Indiana, I guess, and just went to California. So
classic.
That's tough for Indiana.
Classic Hollywood bullshit. Just leaving Indiana. No, but I thought it was very weird that the first few pieces of promo that we've got for Stranger Things, it was like the David Harbour clip, and then it was like just.
Well, then he's not even in this trailer.
Right, exactly. And then, basically the only thing in this trailer is Elle. It's basically the California. That's literally it. Yeah. Because there's nothing about Indiana. Like obviously we've got another trailer where they're in like this house, all of the kids in Indiana still. So it's gonna be like 2 stories, I think. But I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm jacked about this trailer. This trailer
Really?
is
Okay.
yeah. I'm psyched for the next season. It looks like, season 1 was a legit story with like actual stuff going on. Season 2 and season 3, I like them. I rewatched them pretty recently, but they're not great television, if I'm being honest. Like, it's built on the characters that you already like, and that's why I would watch those seasons. This season looks like, Elle's past is maybe catching up to her, and I think that's super interesting. Like, there's going to actually be, resolution in like her past and stuff, and there's actually going to be stuff going on, not just they're fighting monsters, which is good and all, but I'd actually like to see like the continuation of the story into maybe a final chapter. So yeah, I'm jacked, if I'm being honest. I didn't think I would be after seeing the first couple trailers and stuff, but I'm psyched. I'm bought in. But yeah, that's all my recommendations. What's yours?
Yeah, I'm probably, I'd say lukewarm on Stranger Things. Like, I'll definitely watch it when it comes out, but not getting my hopes up too high. I like it well enough. Movie I would say definitely don't watch is a movie called Just Friends with Ryan Reynolds. Do not watch this movie. Gave it a half star. Just god awful. Really
the old half star.
Terrible movie.
How many half stars have you given out? I've given out one.
I think like
Chicken Little.
3 in all the movies I've seen. I know like to All the Boys I've Loved Before is one of them.
Okay.
Wow. And also the Addison Rae, He's All That. She's All That remake. That's also fair. Was a half star. So
this movie's in that category. Wow.
Yeah, and Army of the Dead I also gave a half star. So 4 movies of the all the ones I've seen this year are half stars.
Nice.
4 of 231. So it's in special company.
Yeah.
On top of that, I haven't seen Eternals yet, but I would still say, go check that out. I'll probably go see it sometime this week. Also, Last Night in Soho is out, and French Dispatch. Those are 3 movies. If you can go check them out. I want to talk to you. Did you see the Morbius trailer?
I did.
What is going on? I don't know. Can we address this first? So, in this trailer, we have, first of all, there's references to Venom, so the Venom universe. So they talk about the stuff that happened in San Francisco, which is a reference to Venom, as well as he literally says, "I am Venom." Just kidding. Yeah. I'm Dr. Michael Morbius at your service. We see the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man like graffitied on a wall with the word murder.
Just murder.
There's also the Daily Bugle like header, like a newspaper with the Daily Bugle logo from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man universe, the same header. And then also you have like the Oscorp logo matches the one from the Amazing Spider-Man universe. And then of course you have Michael Keaton as the Vulture from the MCU. So I don't understand what's happening in this movie, but it doesn't look bad. What do you think?
My main question is, who the hell asked for this movie? I don't want to see Jared Leto as a doctor vampire, if I'm being honest. It is weird that it's in like this Sonyverse, I guess, which is also the MCU technically. I 100% won't see this movie, even if it's like claims.
You're not gonna see it.
No chance. I'm not gonna watch Jared Leto be a vampire for like 2.5 hours. You can't make me waste my money on that.
Wow.
Yeah, the effects and stuff actually don't look terrible. It could be a decent movie, but I would expect it to bomb.
Something Jackson said on their podcast is just like this character makes more sense for a solo film than like Venom does, though. Like at least there's like a story there, like without Spider-Man. Like you don't need Spider-Man, but they have Spider-Man in this movie. Whereas like Venom without Spider-Man is just dumb and like pointless and is just not fun. So at least there's that. Like there I think it'll be interesting. It is coming out like at the beginning of the year, which is never a great sign. So
I bet
it also was delayed for like over a year. It was originally supposed to come out before Let There Be Carnage came out, which is also confusing because
I mean, what hasn't been delayed at this point though?
I know, but this was before the pandemic. It was delayed. I'm pretty sure. So
yeah. It'll be interesting to see how people respond to it, but I think Jared Leto's out, man. I don't think Jared Leto's a legit
House of Gucci
movie star these days.
House of Gucci.
That's Lady Gaga's movie.
He's in a fat suit,
dude. The pictures, I don't know.
It doesn't look like pictures.
Him. No, he's unrecognizable. It's just some bald guy who's fat, and they said Jared Leto. What?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think it's gonna be a comeback for Jared Leto. I think it's gonna be one of those transformative performances.
That's Lady Gaga's movie.
He gave one. Hey, Yeah, he might not have a lot to do. He gave one in Dallas Buyers Club though, where he kind of became a different person.
Yeah, no, he's amazing in that movie, but I think that was his peak by far. He hasn't made anything good for like 10 years.
Hey, he's in one of my favorite movies of all time, but that was also a long time ago. Requiem for a Dream. I know.
Oh yeah, that was a very long time ago.
Yeah, 2001. Oh, you've seen it? I don't think.
Which one is it? Yeah, you showed me that movie, didn't you?
Oh, did I make you watch it? Yeah.
It's the one with the same score over and over again, and that one girl. What's the actress's name?
The one that's married to Paul Bettany. I don't know.
I always forget her name.
Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah, Jennifer Connelly. Yeah, I've seen that movie.
Okay.
Yeah. And Marlon Wayans.
Yeah. The heroin movie.
Yeah, the heroin movie. The movie's interesting.
Oh well.
That's yeah. Anyways, yeah, go for it.
Morbius. I'll go check it out and I'll let you know if it's worthy of your time or not. You probably still won't do it.
No, I definitely won't.
I think that's it for my recommendations. I haven't watched a lot. I will be we'll see how Eternals is. I'm very curious. I think that's the movie that I'm just most interesting to see what I think of it, because it's getting so many mixed reviews. A lot of critics don't seem to be a fan of it, but then also I've heard people love it, so I'm looking forward to it.
I'm very excited to see it. Yeah, I'm going in a little nervous because I mean, like you're saying, it's getting weird reviews, but from what I've seen, it looks good. So I don't know.
Yeah. We'll wait and see. All right, I think that's it for this week. Thank you for listening, everybody, and we'll catch you in the next one. Maybe with a guest, or maybe with a different format. Who knows? Or maybe it'll just be Kody picking a movie. So it's unknown at this time. Keep the people guessing.
Absolutely.
Peace.